Well, it's been a hell of an interesting week, but luckily, I had some books to escape to. Hey everyone, I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem, and this is the weekly reading roundup for the week ending June 16th, 2025. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now a booktuber. You can find my music in the Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Materials Season 3, and the newly released The Hills of Tanchico, the featured song in the Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 6. So, an interesting week. Not always for the best, but we're gonna get to that in the music segment. Right now, let's talk about the most important part of this channel, which is always going to be about the books. So, let's start with the first book I finished, and then one I started. This one should come as no surprise. I've talked about it for the last couple of weeks on this channel, and about my love for this book, and my love for Tad Williams, and of course that is Book 1 of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, The Dragonbone Chair. Now, I love this cover. I love simple covers, sometimes it's just like classic, you got a weapon on it. The Dragonbone Chair sounds amazing. Tad Williams is a fantastic writer. But what did I think of the book? Well, I'm going to save the deeper thoughts for a discussion that I'm doing with a bunch of booktubers that is headed up by Aaron from Booked and Busy. And I'm so excited to chat with all these booktubers because a lot of them are ones that I've followed for a long time and I've admired. And there's some new faces on there too that I'm looking forward to getting to know. And I have the live link, so I'm going to definitely announce that in the description here. I'm also going to make a separate community post as it gets closer to that date so you all could be apprised. But that's going to take place on the 22nd, which is Sunday, at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. EST, and I believe, is that 9 p.m. UK time? I'm trying to cover all my bases, I don't know. But I'm very excited to chat with them all about that. But what did I think of The Dragonbone Chair? I gotta say, I love it. Solid 4.5 stars for me. I thought that the pacing actually for the majority of the book was fantastic. I know a lot of people feel like it's a little bit long in the tooth at times, and that it does meander a little bit, which I gotta say, it does take its time. The world building unfolds over time. You start off in the, kind of the POV of Simon. It starts to open up into the wider world. And I actually like that it took its time because Tad Williams is such a brilliant writer. His prose is phenomenal. It's the right balance for me of accessibility while still being beautiful. Some of the most beautiful passages I've read in fantasy are in this, and it's no wonder why George R. R. Martin was influenced to write Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, based on this series. So I'm very excited to continue on to the next one, which is called Stone of Farewell, in July. And then the behemoth of two books really got split up because it was so massive, but it's To Green Angel Tower in August with that fantastic bunch. So I'll keep you all posted. But yeah, I gotta say, I love this. I think the only one thing I would say is, there was a buildup of these converging storylines, and I was very excited about that, and that kind of hit the zenith for me. And then suddenly people split up again, and I was like, you guys just got together, why? That was just more wishful thinking on my part, but really a solid book through and through. So I gotta say, if you haven't picked up Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, I would highly recommend it. It's classic enough fantasy, but it doesn't feel too tropey, which is interesting, because, I know this is the wellspring by which a lot of fantasy was born. And you could even see some influences that it would have had on Wheel of Time, actually. I don't want to spoil anything specifically, but it was interesting to see how it influenced that. It influenced Song of Ice and Fire. And you can see those threads there, but it never feels tropey, even though it started it all, So really, really great world building on Tad Williams' part. Maybe him taking his time also helps that cause. So that was the first book I read. The second one I started. Now this is a short book, so I got like 60 pages in and I'm already 20% into the book. And this was on a whim. I went to a library book sale, as one does. I found this for 50 cents, a pristine copy of Ken Follett's Eye of the Needle. Now, this is a spy thriller that takes place in World War II, and it takes off like a rocket. I mean, the first 60 pages, I flew through this thing, and I get the feeling I could probably just read this whole thing in a day if I wanted to, and I had the time to. So I'm definitely planning on continuing on this train, but what do I feel about it so far? I gotta say, if you like well-paced, plotted books that, could be read on a beach, it could be qualified as a beach read, but it never feels surface level. It still feels propulsive, but it feels like you're getting to know these characters. And there's a description of a marriage in this that is phenomenal. I mean, that kind of marriage dynamic stuff, like Stephen King does that really well. Ken Follett does that really well. In this, he makes you care about the dynamics between these two characters in just a few pages. So I would say it feels like it reads as fast as a beach read, but it never feels surface level, if that makes sense. The plot and the characters are intertwined in a way that feels really good. It serves the story. So I'm very excited about this, and there's a reason why this was a breakout hit for Ken Follett when it first came out, and was the culmination of his spy thriller stuff that he was kind of building up to before he took a break and decided to do historical fiction, which was his Kingsbridge series. So this was a precursor to that, but you could see why he's so good at plotting and pacing his books, even on his in his 1,000-page behemoths. I read part of the Century trilogy last year I've been raving about on this channel, and those are all 900-page plus books, bricks, but they never read like that. And it's because he cut his teeth doing books like this. So he knows how to expand that to larger works. So really great. If you haven't checked it out, I'm leaving the link in the description, as I always do. So please do yourself a favor and check it out if you want a quick read between your massive books. So this is what I read. So let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to read. So of course I'm going to finish Eye of the Needle. Shouldn't take too long. Probably take a couple days at the most, given my schedule currently, which I'm going to talk a little bit about later in this video. But the other book I want to read, and I'm going to be starting probably tonight as of this taping. You're seeing this on Monday, so by the time you see this video, I'll already have been starting it. And that is book 4 of the Matthew Corbett series by Robert McCammon. Something slightly off the beaten path from fantasy, right? This is more historical fiction about Matthew Corbett, who is a private investigator in the early 1700s, and him coming into his own. This book is called Providence Rider, and it is a kind of morphed into a buddy read. I think it started off more as a group read along, but I think, a lot of these read alongs, it's hard for people to keep on top of the books month to month, and so it's been really myself and Cliff from Cliff's Dark Gems who have been reading it together and really enjoying this series. And after the darkness that was explored in book 3, Mr. Slaughter, I'm very curious to see what happens in Providence Rider as this world expands. And there's certain things that happen at the end of book 2 that I get the feeling are going to come to roost for Matthew Corbett. I'm keeping all this spoiler free, because I want you to experience the majesty of the series, but I'm just very curious to see what happens in this book. And it is much shorter than some of the previous entries, so I'm excited to see, another little snack between all these fantasy reads, right? So it's kind of nice to have that. So I'm going to be reading that, and I'm also going to be picking at the end of Memories of Ice. I'm almost done. I'm like the last 10% or so, and I really want to kind of finish that off. I think I'll be able to now because I'm having these little snacks in between, and I'm very excited to see how that concludes. And that will be the furthest I've ever gotten in Malazan Book of the Fallen by Stephen Erickson so far, and it has been a group official channel read-along as well. I was going to start House of Chains, but I haven't really heard back from too many people on how they feel about continuing at such a fast pace. So I'm going to actually hold off and just wait for next month, because I think that will give more people a chance to catch up as well. To that point, we have all these read-alongs going on the channel, but I would love to hear from you, because, these read-alongs and the participation and everything is as meaningful as what we all get to experience together. So I would love to know if you are on any of these read-alongs that we're doing together, and if you're feeling like it's going too fast, I can adjust the schedule. This is all month to month. We can revisit it if that's the case. The main thing is that we all get to experience it together. So let me know in the comments if you're feeling behind or overwhelmed or anything, and I'm happy to slow things down. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep House of Chains, I think, in July. This is probably the best way to go about it for now. So that is very exciting. And of course, one of the things I'm most anticipating, I've already pre-ordered on my Kindle, and I am leaving the pre-order link below because I want you all to check it out if you are a fan of Philip Chase's magnificent The Edan trilogy. Now, I've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel, but I will keep shouting about it from the rooftops because it is my mission for everybody to get their hands on this trilogy and read it and enjoy it like I have. You could tell where Philip Chase's influences come from, stuff that I resonate with really well, Buddhist philosophy and things like that. And it's cool to see that juxtaposition in something that also feels Celtic fantasy, right? So God, I mean, this trilogy was fantastic, and there is a sequel that takes place years after the events of the Return to Idan, which was book 3, and this one is called While Darkness Gathers. So it is supposed to be a shorter work, I believe, than the first 3, and I'm very excited to check it out. That is going to be coming out on June 21st. I'm going to be a day one reader of this. And given the length, and the fact that I'll have a little bit more free time next weekend, I might even read the whole thing on the weekend. And I'm very excited to. I'm going to reach out to Philip, see if he would be, if he'd be down to chat on my channel or something like that, because I think it'd be fun for Idan fans to get more insight into the process of what makes this book different. And I always feel like with art, I feel this with music. I also feel this with authors. Is like we all evolve as people. And the reader evolves in the time between books. The author or the musician or, the artist evolves between each work, right? So it's interesting to see where it's like when the audience, the spectator, the observer, and the performer meet in the middle. Each time they meet, they're different. Slightly different, and it's like, what is the perception? That is While Darkness Gathers. Definitely check that out in the link below. Let's talk a little bit about this week on the channel. So it was unfortunately a pretty dry week for the channel. I was going to post a video on Friday, and some things happened that I'm going to leave for the music segment because it kind of warrants a little bit of a longer explanation, and I have to be, careful of what I say here. So I'm going to keep that for this music segment. If you want to follow along, watch out for that later in the video. But let's talk about this coming week in the channel. So I'm going to do that long-awaited video, 5 genres and 2 selections from each genre that I think are like, if you want to be introduced to, say, historical fiction, or, hey, memoirs, that you haven't read too many memoirs, what are some de facto considerations? And I also don't want to just give the obvious choices. Like, let's say I choose fantasy. I don't want to just give the obvious choices. I want to give ones that, like, hey, you might not have considered, but you should, and it's a great entry point into it. Or, hey, maybe this is something you should explore. Kind of almost like a primer on the genre, pitching it to you and giving you a couple selections that you could choose from. So I would love to, I would love for you to check that video out when it's out, and I would love to know in the comments how many of these you've read as well. So that's the first video. The second video I want to do is one actually I was just tagged today by Sam Not So Wise. Wonderful guy, wonderful channel. I'm leaving his channel link down below. You should definitely check it out if you haven't. He talks a lot about sci-fi as well, which is something I'm always eager to explore more of. And he was, I think, tagged, so he passed the tag along to me of, finding top 10 fantasy series, I guess, or books that haven't been read yet, according to the r/fantasy Reddit thread of the top fantasy series. So he kind of looked at it and eliminated ones that he had already read, and he's left with the top 10 that he has yet to read. So I kind of want to do my own spin on that. And I haven't done a tag video for the longest time because I've been so slammed, and it's been hard for me to just like hold on for dear life. So I'm excited to do that. So we will have, in addition to this video, 2 other videos on the channel. And of course we have the Booked and Busy readathon of the Dragonbone Chair, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. That's going to be on Sunday as a live discussion. So 4 videos related to the channel this week, which is pretty awesome. And it's about time I step things up a little bit, take it up a notch, and, engage in the community I love so much more now that there's a little bit more free time. So I also will probably do some shorts this week as well, because I kind of want to do some more shorts for the channel. I don't know. It's a nice little snack between videos, and if people are discovering the channel for the first time, maybe they get a chance to see what it is all about and my manic energy. Maybe I'm a little more subdued this time, but that's kind of the thought process there. Let's talk a little bit about the music front. Now, I've been kind of cryptically teasing this the whole time, and I'm trying to figure out how best to say this, but on Thursday, I'd been doing a lot of promo for the Hills of Tanchico because it was going to be in consideration for the Emmys this year, and Amazon had graciously submitted it in the Outstanding Music and Lyrics category. So I had been, I hired a PR team. I've been working tirelessly to reach out to, fellow TV Academy members, just to get to know them, go to events almost every night. I was wearing myself ragged. So the day finally came. that voting opened up on Thursday. I checked the ballot just for fun to see, and it wasn't on the ballot. So I immediately contacted the PR team. They contacted their people, and they found out that there were some clerical issues on the back end that were unfortunately outside my purview. I had no idea about any of this, had nothing to really do with those issues, and it was outside my control because I was never notified. The people in charge of the submission were notified, but I was not notified, so I couldn't take care of it. And so, unfortunately, it became too late for it to appear on the ballots, which was, I was feeling pretty gutted about the whole thing. And I've been just going back and forth. I did like 6 hours of phone calls trying to get this thing to happen on Friday. So that's why there was no video on Friday. But needless to say, these things are, for me, it was never been about the award. It's really been about making connections with people. And I know how the industry works and how the future jobs are dependent on these things. It's like if you get a nomination or something, it has a huge weight on what kind of opportunities open up for you. So I was really hoping that something would come from this because of the virality of the song and how much people were resonating with it, both fans and TV Academy members alike. But sadly, it was not to be. But there will be other dragons to slay. There will be other stories to be told, and there will be other, awards to shoot for this year. So never fear. I am intensely proud of all the work that that we all did to try to get it out into the world, and the fans, for carrying the torch of it. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I'm going to have made another post on my other socials as well, kind of just highlighting the greatness of the fans and what the impact of the song and everything, and how grateful I am to have been part of the universe, even if it wasn't meant to be for this thing. But I took the weekend to process it, and I'm ready to get back into the fray in terms of re-engaging with the community I love so much here. It's with this, the last few weeks have been just holding on for dear life, like I was saying, just trying to get stuff done. And I have a bit more time now because voting would have continued on through the 23rd. I would have been busy with all that stuff. Now I don't. I have other work to do, thankfully, but it's going to be a little bit lighter this week, hence why I can do these videos, participate in discussions with you all. And I'm excited to do that because I one of my favorite things in the world right now is engaging with all of you. So just wanted to let you know the situation. It's a bummer, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news here if you're hearing about it for the first time. But we live to fight another day. That's all I could say about that. So I'm working on a main theme for this video game for Linda, which I'm very excited about. We are going to be looking at hiring a singer to sing on it. I'm starting a short film finally in earnest this week, which is kind of, helping a friend out. And I'm very excited to kind of be a part of that project as well. Doing kind of some preliminary discussions for a nature docuseries, which is a little too early to describe right now, but I'm very excited to write some music for that. Because conservation is something that means a lot to me personally, and I think it'll be fun to see those stories told on the small screen. So that'll be cool. And then also, looking for the next things, pitching around, and seeing if I can leverage the Hills of Tanchico and, maybe work on some more musical world building type adventures. So we'll see how that all goes. And then I'll be also revamping my music YouTube channel. Now I've spent a lot of time on this YouTube channel, and I kind of want to do something similar for the music YouTube channel. I'm still figuring out what that means, but I want to have something interesting there. Maybe some more deep dive discussions on music creation or storytelling, or I don't know, still figuring it out, but that's definitely on the horizon. So if you're interested in that, you can see my music channel is also linked below. But let me know about your week. How was yours? Less of a roller coaster than mine? And that you all had a fantastic reading week as well. Let me know in the comments or in the Discord if you would like. It's free to join. I would love for you to be a part of this community that we're building. And, talk with fellow book addicts about what you read and stuff. Let me know what you read in this week. Anything interesting happened this week. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. Always tells YouTube that this video is worth watching. And if you found it worth watching and you feel compelled to kind of pay that forward, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I hope you have yourselves a fabulous week. Keep an eye out for a video on Wednesday and Friday. And I hope you have a great time this week. Take care.